Thank you so much for watching Handy Mandy Canada. Please like and subscribe and click that notification bell in the corner. Helps notify you when I make new videos. Hey everybody, I'm really excited because today I'm going to work on a project I have been dying to work on for a very long time. The 70s style lighting that is here in my rec room is very old and we're very excited to replace it. So today's the day. We got some beautiful lights from Home Hardware and we're going to get those installed today. Out with the old, in with the new. I took a trip to Payzant Home Hardware where I was able to do some shopping around for a new light in the lighting section. These are the lights that I picked at Home Hardware. They're Gilda and they're flush mount. LED strips are inside, so I never need to change the bulb, which is really exciting. They're nice and bright and they're energy efficient. So here are my current light fixtures. They are very dated. We are definitely doing away with these. So the first thing we want to do when we're changing out light fixtures is we want to expose the light as much as we did, which I took the glass bulbs off there, the light is exposed, but we want to make sure that there's no power going to the light so that we don't get electrocuted. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to kill the power. And I am now in part of my home where I have my electrical panel. I'm going to make sure that the power is killed to those lights. This is a pretty old electrical panel and it's been well labeled and changed and manipulated in different years gone by, but it is the one right here labeled Master that is going to kill the power to my light switches. Alright, so I flicked the switch in the electrical panel. It is now off, as you can see, and I want to make sure, double checking that the power's off, so I'm going to be using a very handy tool that allows me to check to make sure that the power is off, and it's one of these live wires. If you don't have one of these, there are other versions of it, but obviously you can see the power's off. If you feel comfortable with that, great. But this is just something I like to do to double check, triple check that it's off so that I don't get hurt. And let's check. No power. If it were on, it would be beeping and bright red, like beep, 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 beep. I want to show you what it looks like when it is reading properly, when there is power on, how this functions, just to show you. So there's my light. So it is going crazy because there's lots of power there. But now power's off and we're going to try again. There. We know the power is off. So it's important to remember that with any light, it's going to have your positive and your negative, and you're always going to have your ground. So with this older light, let's see if I can show you, the ground, it is connecting right up to this screw right here. Oh, there it is. And with the new light, we're going to be needing to take the ground wire that's connected to the new light, and we're going to have to back this screw off, and it will have a loop and it will go up underneath that screw, and we'll screw it right back up to the bracket. right now I'm just loosening that screw that was around the ground wire so that I can expose it, and then I'll be able to loop my actual ground wire from my new light onto it. So with this new light, I'm just going to check to see how well the two bolts line up, because you may need to adjust the distance or the depth of the bolt depending on what light you have. But in this case, I'm eyeballing it. Looks like it may work. I'm just going to give it a try. Yep, they line up perfectly actually. That's going to work very nicely. And I don't have to even fiddle with the distance of it. So that's actually perfect. So these are my positive and negative wires. These definitely, in order for them to make a good safe connection with the existing wires up there in the ceiling, I'm gonna have to strip back a little bit of the casing on this wire just to expose more of this, so that this is gonna be able to loop around my wires up on the ceiling and then up into the barrettes. So I'm gonna do that now. So what I'm doing right now is I'm using the pliers to expose more of the wire. Pull that right off. She's dang tough. There we go. So I've exposed. There's the casing right there. So that exposed more of the wire, but I'll be able to twist around the other wire up there a lot better, making a good solid connection. So I'm going to do the second one here. Alright, I'm doing the other one here, and I'm going to pull that off. There. It's really handy to have a good pair of wire splicers around when you feel like being electrical. There's the second one. So now I have two decently long exposed wires that I'll be able to use. And I made a little loop for my ground, so that I'm going to be putting that up underneath the screw to ground it. One thing that came with the kit, with the light, is some barrettes, and just in case you need them, some extra screws, the right length. But in my case, I don't need them because the ones that are in there are going to work perfectly. They're all lined up. First thing I'm going to do is attach the ground, which will allow for the weight of the light to be held up while I'm attaching these. Now I have it hanging, and now I'm just going to tighten that loop. I'm going to actually make that loop a little smaller now that I have it up around the large head of that. I'm just going to give it a little pinch to make it smaller. There. That's not going anywhere. And now I just need to attach my positive and negative. It's at this stage where I'm wrapping around the positive and negative wires that I stripped a bit longer to go around the existing positive and negative wires that are up in the ceiling. The ones in the ceiling are always a little thicker and you won't be able to bend those wires, but the ones on the light switch are much more pliable and they'll twist around the stiff wires in the ceiling. Once you wrap it around and make a good circular spiral connection, Using your pliers is very helpful. Then you can add your morettes. Tuck those morettes and connected wires back up into the light fixture box and line up your screws, and then just tighten the nuts around the bolts that you have. So I have the base part of my light on, and I want to do a little test before I really tighten these nuts up and the screws up all snug. I want to test, make sure my light is working. So because I'm doing a 2-light project and I've exposed the other lights, I want to make sure that there's morettes on the positive and negative wires before I flick the lights back on. Doing that really is just a safety precaution to make sure that there's no arcing. It works! Yay! That's nice and bright. So now that I know my light's working, I'm going to just tighten up the nuts here so that they don't move or shift. Lastly, the thing that I want to install in my downstairs is a dimmer switch to go with the new lights. They are compatible, and I got a 2-pack to fix the one that's in the other room right beside it that's broken. So that's gonna match now, and it is perfect. Right now I'm taking out one of the old light switches because I want to install a dimmer switch for my new lights. I also got this dimmer switch from Home Hardware as well. I'm disconnecting the ground wire, which is the same method as before, backing off the screw and disconnecting the loop that was in behind it. And now I'm disconnecting the positive and negative wires off the old light switch. Those ones were looped around the screws. So I'm taking those off and I'm straightening the wire out with my pliers. They are a little bit long now because with the new light switch, they just are pushed in straight. So you don't have to loop it around on the left side of the unit. So I'm connecting the ground wire to the new light switch, and then I'm going to be inserting the positive and negative ground wire straight into the new light switch. Such an easier method than the other one. That one wasn't quite straight enough, so I straightened it a little bit more. Give it a tighten up. And now I want to give this a test to make sure it works. Brighten and lower with the dimmer. It's working perfect. Make sure to go turn my power back off while I stick it into the unit. I'm going to be doing some more major renovations very soon in my home, so I didn't worry about the other light switch right now, or the gaping hole that's in behind it, covered up with tape. For now, I just wanted the dimmer switch in. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you were able to see how easy it can be to install a light fixture and a dimmer switch for your lights. Also, take time to like and subscribe if you have not done so already to join my YouTube family.